Hello everyone, I Assistant Professor Pragati Shetty from Department of Microbiology, KJ Somaya College. In this online lecture, we are going to study the information and the topics related to the bacteriophages. So this will be a very interesting lecture as the bacteriophages topic itself is a very much interesting topic. So first we will study about what are the bacteriophages. Okay, now you can see here, this is the general structure of a bacteriophage. Okay, so bacteriophages are the viruses who are able to infect or who are able to replicate inside a bacteria. They can cause harm to the host, and the host for such viruses are bacteria. Therefore these viruses are called as the bacteriophages. Okay, now this is the electron microgram of the bacteriophage, and here is a general diagram of the bacteriophage. So bacteriophage will contain three parts in its body. First is a head. In the head, inside its head, there is the DNA packaged. Then it will be a collarbone, then the tube and the sheath. Okay, and the last portion is the tail fibers. So tail fibers will help bacteriophage to attach to the bacterial cell wall. After its attachment, collarbone is very important in its structure, or we can say that complete tube. So by that tube, through the tube, DNA is getting pushed up inside the tube and it will reach inside the bacterial cell. So this is how the bacteriophage will get entry into the bacterial cell, and each of its body part is involved for its replication, for its movement, okay, into the bacteria, that is its host, right? So it is the structure of T4 phage. Okay, we have some other types of phages also, such as the T2 phage, T4 phage, lambda phage. Okay, then after this, now we will see basic introduction of this lytic cycle and lysogenic cycle. Okay, now as I mentioned, now you can see in the left hand side diagram, here is the bacterial cell wall. Okay, there is a bacteriophage is attached. Okay, now what is happened? Now first the adsorption will be there. Adsorption means what? The tail fiber will then get attached onto the bacterial cell, and then it will transfer its genetic material through that tube. Okay, now the injection of the DNA. Right, so now the adsorption is done. Now the phage is successfully attached, adsorbed onto the surface of the bacteria. Now the DNA is got inserted, okay, into that bacteria host. Now there, the DNA, with the help of its genetic material of the phage, it will synthesize some proteins. Okay, then it will synthesize its assembly. After assembly, replication of the phage DNA and synthesis of phage proteins, right? That what we just discussed, right? Then after the synthesis, now see synthesis, why the synthesis is happening? Because definitely the genetic material is sole responsible for synthesizing the essential things and assembly of the organism, microorganism or any organism, right? And therefore it is able to do the synthesis of the proteins for that phage. Now after its synthesis, now what it will do? It will produce the assembly with what? Getting together its own body parts and producing a new very virus structure. Okay, the progeny of that virus. Now assembly of the phage components. After assembly has been done, now the phage releases. Now after assembly, you can see there are new particles, whole new virus particle we can see, right, at the last step. That is after assembly, after its body part getting together. Then assembly has been completed. Now new virus particles will then lysed, okay, then kill the host cell. Then it is ready to enter another host cell, another bacteria, and in similar way they will infect the bacterial lawn, bacterial colony, right? And if we grow this phages on a plate, on a nutrient agar or agar plate in the laboratory, in the Petri plate, then we don't get the colonies, unlike bacteria, right? In case of bacteria we get colony growth. In case of the phages, in case of the viruses, what we get plaques. These are the zone of transparent zones, okay, clearance zones. Why clearance? Because they have lysed that colony, that they have lysed the bacterial cell, bacterial colonies, and there it will produce the zone of clearance. So that will depict, that will indicate the presence of virus, okay, that we will again see in the next slides. So for now, after assembly, now it will get released from that bacterial cell and it is ready to infect other cells in the similar way. This cycle just we studied is the lytic cycle, okay. This cycle is called as the lytic cycle, alright. And the second one, the right side one, now you look into the right hand side diagram. So here phage is getting attached to the host cell. Similarly, it will inject its DNA. Two steps are similar, okay. First two steps are similar, adsorption and injection of its genetic material through the tube of the phage, okay. Then bacterial chromosome is present in the bacteria, right. Now what is happening in the lysogenic cycle? The phage DNA will incorporate into the bacterial chromosome, okay. Phage DNA integrate within the bacterial chromosome and becoming a prophage. What is a prophage? A bacterial DNA that contain the viral DNA or phage DNA called as the prophage, okay. And therefore now in this case bacteria doesn't get killed. Bacteria don't die in the lysogenic cycle. Instead of that, what is happening? The virus is multiplying along with the bacteria, because now viral DNA is getting incorporated along with the bacterial chromosomal DNA. So as bacteria will replicate, bacteria will produce its progeny cells, its daughter cells. Similarly, simultaneously, definitely the virus will be multiplied, right? So these are the most basic two cycles through which the virus is getting multiplied. Lytic cycle, that is the left hand side, and the second one is the lysogenic cycle, okay. Now these are the two cycles. Now after that, now we will come to that topic called as the recombination in phage, okay. Now here, if we want to study the phage recombinants, okay, that is, they are recombinant means what? We are recombining two or more different types of the phages who are producing various types of the morphology in a plate, okay. So we want to study more of them, then we can study by recombination, right. We do recombination in the bacteria. Similarly, in the phages also the recombination is possible, okay. We can recombine two different phage which are producing different kind of morphology, okay, against the host cell. Then now this experiment has been conducted, okay. Now you can see here the strains with the different plaque morphologies were crossed by co-infection of the bacteria, okay. Now in this case, who are the wild type, that is the parental types, are the HR plus and the H plus R cells, H indicate mutant plaques. H are the mutant plaques are darker than the H plus. Okay, so H plus, the wild type, is the light color plaques. Okay, and R or R plus means the smaller. So the wild type will be larger or the lighter and smaller. Okay, now what they did, they crossed the two mutants. Okay, HR plus crosses H plus R phages. Alright, so after this cross they get four various kind of results, four types of the plaque morphology. In the previous slides we just discussed that plaques, the phages give plaques, not colonies. They give zone of clearance, they give the zones. So after this cross, the four various types of the zone morphology has been observed, plaque morphology has been observed. Okay, so you can see here in this picture, the first one is the HR plaque, which is the large, also dark. Okay, therefore named as the HR plaque. The second one, that is the H plus R plus, it is the small size plaque with the lighter color. Okay, these two plaques, that is the HR and the H plus R plus plaques, are the recombinants. These are the recombinants, right? And the HR plus and the H plus R are the wild, are the parental, right? Why parental? Because we are crossing them only, right? So they will be again definitely called as the parental plaques, parental phages, right? Then after we crossed this two kind of plaques, two kind of phages, then we got two similar phages, right? We got two same, identical, that is the one H plus R we got and one HR plus we got, and along with this we got two recombinants. Okay, first one is HR and another one is the H plus R plus. Now H is for what? It's for lighter color. H plus is for lighter, so H will be what? Darker. Similarly, R plus is for smaller, so R will be for larger. Okay, so this is how you can remember the four recombinants. This is the plaque morphology in the your topic, plaque morphology. So we got four different kind of plaques, H plus, R plus and HR. HR is the large and the dark, you can see in the picture, while H plus R plus is the small and the light. Then HR plus is the small and the dark, and the H plus R is the large and the light. These both are parental and the above both are recombinant. Now from this we can also calculate the recombination frequency. What is a recombination frequency? It is the ability of the phages, or we can say by which frequency this phage got recombinant, the speed. We can determine that recombination frequency. Okay, so if the recombination frequency is very high, we can say the genes that are responsible for recombination of these two plaques, or we can say the mutation genes, are present very far distant. And if the recombination frequency is very small, okay, then the mutant genes or the genes responsible for causing these mutations are present very close to each other in these cells. That is why they got instantly recombinant. Okay, now we can check this recombination frequency. We can determine the recombination frequency with the formula called as recombinants obtained, okay, upon the total recombinants into 100. By this way, we can calculate the recombination frequency. Okay. So in this case, how many recombinants we got? 2. And the total phages we got, total types we got 4 types. Okay, so 2 divided by 4 into 100, the answer that what it will come, that will be recombination frequency of this mutant cells, of this parental strains. Okay, this is how we can calculate the recombination frequency of the recombinants, right? This frequency is very, very important, and it has been used for various experiments that we will see later. Okay, so this frequency, what it will tell us, it will tell that the speed of the mutation or the genes responsible for causing this recombination or the mutation or the variation are present very far or that are present very close to each other in these cells, right? Then after this, you can solve this problem. Okay, here is an example. If you want to determine, if you want to practice the recombination frequency, it is a very important question from your exam point of view and for entrance exams also. So you can practice such examples. Here I am giving only one example. You can practice more from your own. So here are the following result of a cross between T2 lambda, T2 phage. Okay, strain A is the HR plus and strain B is the H plus R. Okay, now determine the recombination frequency and distance between the H and R genes, right? So definitely once we get recombination frequency, we can determine the distance. Larger is the frequency, larger is the distance. Smaller is the frequency, smaller is the distance. Okay, now you have here genotypes, that is the recombinants that we got. So that will include again your wild type also, that is your parental H plus R, then HR plus, H plus R plus and HR, and then you have a number of plaques here. Okay, so that is the 42, 34, 12 and 12 respectively. Now using the recombination frequency formula, what is the formula? Number of recombinant obtained. Now who will be the recombinants here? You will exclude the parental types. The other one that will remain, that will be your recombinants. So you can exclude the HR plus and the H plus R. Now what is remaining? H plus R plus and the HR. These are your recombinants. Now you can multiply you can add that number of plaques from that to H plus R plus and the HR divided by total number of plaques obtained. So in that case, you will then take complete whole number of plaques including your parental and the recombinant. Okay, and after this division is done, then you will multiply this with the 100 because frequency is in percent. Okay, so we have to multiply that into with the 100. So by that you can determine the recombination frequency, and with the help of this we can determine that genes are present very far or very close to each other. Remember, if the recombinant frequency is very far, is very large in the number, then your genes are also present at a long distance from each other. And if a recombination frequency is also very small, then your genes are also present very close to each other. So by that you can also predict the timing. Larger frequency, it will take larger time to recombinant, right? Smaller frequency, it will take smaller time for recombination. Distance, smaller distance, right? You can check, you can solve this example. This is very important and it is very easy. Okay, so now next one we will study the various types of the mutations. Okay, for example, lethal mutation, then conditional mutations. So what are the lethal mutation? This we are studying in the bacteriophages only. Okay. Now in the lethal mutation, we know what is a mutation. It is a sudden change in the genetic material. Either it can be deletion, either it can be addition. Okay. Either it can be deletion of a specific part, okay, or certain nucleotides has been added, right, or the sequence got interchanged, replaced with some other sequence. So this chemical changes or this genetic changes will cause mutation in its genome, and that mutation can be lethal, can be very harmful, or can be beneficial, right? Then in case of lethal mutation, lethal means what? It is deadly. Mutation which result involve the vital functions in the death of the organism. So lethal mutation, what it will do? It will responsible for death of the vital functions. Vital means what? Which are very much essential for the growth of that cell, for the host. And if that functions are not working properly, then definitely that cell will be die, right? And that is why we are calling it as the lethal mutation. Okay, that is non-viable mutation. And then a conditional lethal mutant is a cell that may be able to live under particular conditions. Okay, permissive conditions. For example, we will see in the next slide. Yes, so here we can relate very well. Here you can see there are the wild type bacteria in the beaker, okay, in the flask, in the conical flask, and then we have conditional mutant also. Now we have inoculated this culture onto an agar, okay, and we have incubated at the 25 degrees Celsius. When we incubate the plates at 25 degrees Celsius, then only this conditional mutant are able to grow, and hence and therefore we are calling it as the conditional, because you can see in the next step, if we inoculate same culture, same sample from that flask into the plate, two plates, and if one plate we incubate at 25 degrees Celsius and one plate we incubate at the 37 degrees Celsius, then at 37 degrees Celsius value plate, it will not show growth of that conditional mutant. Why? Because it requires the 25 degrees Celsius temperature for its growth, and that is why we say a mutant who grows at very particular, only grows at very certain permissive conditions, are called as the conditional lethal mutant. Okay, I hope you understood with this example. This kind of the mutants are called as the conditional mutants. Okay, this grows only at the specific conditions, specific temperature, or in presence of specific chemicals. So that will require certain conditions, that will not grow at optimum conditions. Okay, then yes, so that can also be called as the TS mutant, that is the temperature sensitive mutant, because it is sensitive to 35 degrees Celsius but it is not sensitive to 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, this is the one type of the conditional lethal mutants. Alright, now in this lecture we have studied bacteriophage. What are bacteriophages? What are the general structure of the bacteriophage, right? We studied the life cycle of the bacteriophages, lytic cycle and lysogenic cycle. Then we studied the plaque morphology, the 4 recombinant. Okay, and one more point I want to add. With the help of that recombination frequency or the recombination of the plaque, the crossing over for the plaque, we can map, okay, we can map them, we can map the mutant genes. That we will see in the next lecture. Okay, so after that we studied the lethal mutant and the conditional lethal mutants. Okay, I hope you understood this online lecture. If you have any doubt, then please ask in the comment section. Thank you for watching.